You're watching UnrealEntGaming. This is Gohan from Dragon Ball Z. You want to see me turn Super Saiyan? Or should I take it to the next level? I'm also the narrator, too. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, make sure and smash subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Yardrats, Vegeta! With Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 54 now officially in the history books, Moro's cronies continue to wage battle on Earth as the battle between Gohan and 7-3 begins, with Moro setting his sights on sending his strongest men to scout Earth. He patiently watches as our heroes fight for their survival, with Shimoreka, Yumba, and 7-3 making their move, all while Goku continues his training with Merus to further unlock the powers of Ultra Instinct once again, only this time they are being observed by an unexpected individual, as Goku is shown doing everything he can in his ability to awaken the powers within him once again. As once more, before we begin, if you are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then be sure to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to never miss a single upload on this channel, to in which, if you guys love Dragon Ball Super and cannot wait for the next edition of the Dragon Ball Super manga, then be sure to give this video a big thumbs up by slapping that like button down below, as well as dropping your thoughts in the comment section below as to how you guys personally feel about the ongoing arc in the Dragon Ball Super manga, as we kick off Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 54 with Gohan having to be shown on the offensive right from the beginning in punching 7-3 directly in the rib cage, driving him backwards, which when compared to its anime counterpart, Gohan is significantly more powerful in the Dragon Ball Super manga in comparison to the anime. And with 7-3 having to be shown in Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 53 being able to absorb one's abilities and use that for 30 minutes, it would appear that right from the jump, Gohan is shown actually winning against 7-3, as Gohan not only knocks 7-3 backwards and causing 7-3 to stagger back, hitting the ground beneath him, but it would also appear that Gohan is doing this with complete and utter ease. And there isn't any exact numerical number to keep track of how long 7-3 had been using Piccolo's abilities up until this current point in time right now. However, as soon as 7-3 is able to ground himself, he then goes on ahead to fire multiple ki blasts in Gohan's direction, which Gohan is easily able to step away from and dodge instantaneously, but this attack is eerily enough similar to Piccolo's Hell Zone grenade, because as of course the blasts are shown surrounding Gohan, it would appear that 7-3 has complete control over them. And just as we've observed Piccolo in using this exact same attack in Dragon Ball Z, 7-3 goes as far as to then manipulate these attacks in having to condense them in one singular direction. As of course Gohan braces himself out of nowhere, we then get to bear witness how all of the attacks then consume Gohan in one singular shot, as all of the blasts begin to rain down on Gohan. But then, as of course Jocko and Piccolo are observing this, Piccolo is shocked and cries out for Gohan, as Jocko immediately points out the fact that Gohan is in fact okay and he's standing right behind 7-3. So Gohan is so cognitive, Gohan is so quick, and Gohan is so resilient that he not only evaded the attacks or even took them head on depending on how you want to look at it, but he was also fast enough to move behind 7-3 in sticking out 2 fingers behind him, with 7-3 not suspecting a single thing. As only then seconds later, Gohan then goes on ahead to fire a direct blast at 7-3 from behind, which causes 7-3 to go hurtling forward into a cliff right exactly where Shimoreka is standing. And with Shimoreka having to cry out for 7-3, he then observes how 7-3 is in fact damaged, but he's still resilient enough to get up and fight. He still has that fire within him to stand up after such an attack and continue his fight against Gohan. But there is a very specific reason as to why 7-3 has the ability to use someone else's techniques for 30 minutes, and that is because you guys will learn later on in this manga chapter that he has an ability called called storage. And with this, 7-3 is able to store up to 3 individuals' techniques and abilities within him and further use the other 2 as reserves just in case of a desperate situation. But you guys are going to learn of this as we continue, because with Piccolo touching down and thanking Gohan by letting him know, well done Gohan, Gohan went along to tell Piccolo, I know your moves better than just about anyone else, Piccolo. As Piccolo responded, and I've got mixed feelings about you beating a copy of me that easily. And with Piccolo sticking his hand out, he then goes on ahead to change Gohan's clothing, as of course everybody was wondering, with Piccolo then having to tell Gohan, now get out there and end this. With Gohan agreeing, the fight then continues, but then out of the blue, 7-3 actually uses one of Piccolo's greatest features and allows himself to become giant, as of course the Namekians can do such a thing. In using this technique to now increase himself in size, Gohan and Piccolo are completely caught off guard as Gohan went along to comment, now you're a giant, huh? And as 7-3 looks on, he doesn't seem to be rattled, he doesn't seem to be angry or upset, but rather focused in this battle, because with 7-3 then having to focus in, he then goes on ahead to directly throw a shot down at Piccolo and Gohan. And with 7-3 wrecking the landscape, Gohan then went along to comment, I'm pretty familiar with that one too. So Gohan doesn't seem to be concerned, Gohan doesn't seem to be worried, because he's seen what giant fighters were able to do, in particular this one. So with Gohan having to take initiative with 7-3 attempting to grab him, he quickly then moves out of the way with such speed that 7-3 simply can't keep up. And despite 7-3's best efforts in attacking Gohan, Gohan is actually not afraid in charging right in 7-3's face, as he then goes on ahead to kick 7-3 directly up in the jaw, as he then causes 7-3 to once again stagger on his feet. So Gohan isn't afraid. You could be big, you could be small, it doesn't matter to Gohan, because in the manga, he's a complete badass. In the anime, not so much, but here, Gohan understands that his planet is in danger, and he knows, he is very well aware of what 7-3 can do, and despite 7-3 using gigantism, it still doesn't put a shred of fear within Gohan's heart to attack. But rather then, as we observe Gohan having the upper hand against 7-3, Yumba and Krillin are actually fighting on the other side of the landscape, with Krillin and Yumba having to notice this. Krillin went along to comment, what the heck? It's that other guy! With Yumba and Krillin's attention now having to be directly focused on the battle between Gohan and 7-3, and with Yumba left speechless, Gohan is then zip-zagging all around 7-3, punching him as many times as he physically could. With 7-3 not being able to keep up with Gohan's speed, what Gohan ends up doing then is quickly dashing behind 7-3, as he then quickly moves in with 2 singular energy blasts aimed directly at 7-3's knees. He then goes on ahead to fire these blasts directly behind his kneecaps, to where we then get to see 7-3 stagger, which is a really fucking good tactic that Gohan uses in crippling this massively giant character, because Gohan not only outsmarted 7-3, but he used his own energy blast to his advantage that caused 7-3 to stumble backwards, and as 7-3 did, Gohan quickly dashes between 7-3's legs and up in the sky, right before Gohan proceeded to come back down in kicking 7-3 directly in the gut, which caused 7-3 to hit the ground below. Which essentially isn't a good sign, as Yumba takes initiative in fleeing the fight with Krillin to help his friend. As soon as 7-3 is shown on the ground, Shimareka went on to cry out, hey 7-3! Don't quit on me now! With Yumba having to land, he went along to ask, what's going on, Shimareka? With Shimareka having to respond, guess our data for this planet was super outdated. And that guy is the one that we should have had our man copy. So Shimareka went along to confirm that number 1, the data he had on the planet was super outdated, and 2, rather going for Piccolo's abilities, Shimareka confirms that 7-3 simply should have gone for Gohan's instead. But 7-3 isn't finished. 7-3 actually sits back up, and as he does so, Shimareka went along to tell 7-3, listen 7-3, whatever it takes, get your hand around that guy's neck. as 7-3 agrees by telling him very well that's exactly what 7-3 attempted to do. And with 7-3 really looking to turn up the heat against Gohan now, the first thing he attempts to do, as Gohan notices, is try to grab onto Gohan and crushing him within his hand. But Gohan is so fast, he's quick enough to move out of the way. With his reflex skills having to be on point, there's not a single thing that 7-3 can do to grab onto Gohan, but instead, each and every single time 7-3 actually attempts to grab Gohan, Gohan either ducks under, he dodges on the side, he maneuvers his way through the rocks and the cliffside, so there's nothing that 7-3 can do, even with his giant form, even by extending his hands, that can get the better of Gohan. So throughout the first portion of this manga chapter, Gohan is running roughshod on 7-3 with complete ease, with no signs of stopping. And with Jocko, Piccolo, and Krillin watching, Krillin went along to ask Piccolo, "Gohan showed up, huh?" As Piccolo agreed, "Yeah, definitely someone we can count on. Same as always." Piccolo seems to be very confident in Gohan's abilities to get the job done, but the best part is, I love how 7-3 is really trying to go up and beyond in grabbing Gohan, and Gohan being able to use his own speed to his advantage. Every single time 7-3 attempts to grab him, Gohan quickly moves out of the way, except this time, as 7-3 is desperately trying to hunt him down, we can slowly see how 7-3's hand is then beginning to catch up to Gohan, but Gohan knows this as he goes on to say to himself, "Kame." So while 7-3 is extending his hands even further to try to grab onto Gohan, what Gohan is doing as a counter method is charging up his energy for a massive Kamehameha. And it's not like Gohan is concerned or surprised or even angry. As a matter of fact, his demeanor is very calm. And with 7-3's hand having to go through a cliffside, with Gohan then having to observe this, he then uses that to his advantage, leaps up on the rocks and then on 7-3's arm, as he then dashes towards 7-3's head, with Gohan having to complete the phrase of his Kamehameha. 7-3 then is absolutely floored, but only then we get to observe how 7-3 completely changes the image on his forehead and reduces his size back to normal. And with Gohan still holding on to his Kamehameha, Jocko notices this as he goes on to cry out, "The ability wore off, he's out of time! Fire it off anyway, son Gohan! Now's your chance!" So, with Piccolo's abilities now having to run out, it's been 30 minutes and 7-3, seemingly enough, is finished. And with Gohan realizing this, he does not hold back, because only then Piccolo and Krillin go on to comment, "Wait, if he shoots from there, the Earth is done for." As Piccolo responds, "He's no fool, he'll detonate it right at the surface." And Gohan doesn't waste any time, because then Gohan fires the Kamehameha from above as Shima Rekka goes on to cry out, 7-3, use what you've got in stock! And as soon as the Kamehameha is hurtling towards 7-3's direction, Jocko goes on to comment, "Stock," as the ability that I told you guys earlier comes into play. We finally get to see how on 7-3's forehead the image of Moro appears. So it would appear that 7-3 this whole time not only possessed one of the abilities from the Porcupine characters we've seen on the previous manga chapter, but also Moro as well. And with the blast finally having to connect, everybody seems to be blinded by the light until Krillin and Piccolo observe something very ominous in the distance. As Krillin goes on to ask, where's the boom? As Piccolo responds, he ate it. So 7-3 ate Gohan's Kamehameha due to the ability that Moro had given him in eating and consuming energy. And with 7-3 having to be shown standing there very quietly as he swallows the bits and pieces that are left from the Kamehameha, we then observe how he lets out a scream as Piccolo cries out, "He ate the Chi Blast!" With Jocko having to confirm, "Look, Moro, he had Moro's powers in stock!" As Gohan replies, "What's that mean?" As Piccolo responds, "In stock, You never said anything about that, as Jocko responds, yeah, well, he can switch to other copied abilities stored up to 3 identities at a time, which only then we get to see, eerily enough, 7-3 use the exact same technique that Moro was using on planet Namek. As Krillin goes on to ask, what now? Jocko responds, oh, this is bad, he's gonna absorb energy. Take him down before he can! And as everyone charges in, Jocko confirms that they have to stop 7-3 now, because if they don't, he's only then going to use the planet's energy and absorb that to get stronger. And the minute we get to see everyone charge in, the exact thing that Moro ended up using against Super Saiyan God Vegeta on planet Namek is now come into play, because 7-3 ends up doing the exact same thing and uses the planet's energy as a barrier to shield himself from Piccolo, Gohan, Krillin, and Jocko, as only then Gohan tries to find an opening in attempts of attacking 7-3 behind. What 7-3 ends up doing is deflecting Gohan away, as of course he's not only using the energy around him as a shield, but also draining the very essence of the planet's energy as well. And with Gohan getting pushed back, Piccolo goes on to ask, what's that all about? We can't even get close, as Yumba goes on to comment, close one, huh? Never thought we'd need our secret weapon so soon. As Shimoreka gets on the radio, he then goes on to comment, so you see, Captain, we had to resort to that. Sorry. And who else is he talking to? None other than Moro and Sagambo. As Sagambo is shown on the radio, he then went along to question, is that so? Finish up there quick and get back here. As Moro remains quiet, he then went along to ask, what? They already made use of my copied abilities? As Sagambo comments, sorry, it was supposed to be used as a last resort. As Moro is then shown touching the back of his neck, he went along to then state copying, a useful power. I don't want him employing it just for anything, as Sagambo apologizes by telling Moro, apologies, Lord Moro. Moro then goes on to comment, I assume it's being put to good use? As Sagambo responds, we can check it out from here actually, and that is exactly what they end up doing. As Sagambo quickly gets back on the radio, he went along to tell Shimoreka, switch to monitor mode. As Shimoreka agrees, Sagambo then went along to tell the pilots, project a live feed here. And as they do, we get to observe how 7-3 is doing the exact same thing that Moro had done to Goku, Vegeta, and the Daikaio on Namek to Gohan, Piccolo, Jocko, and Krillin, and that's drain them of their very energy, with everyone having to be shown staggering and becoming weaker. Gohan went along to comment, feeling drained, because that's exactly what 7-3 is doing, with Piccolo having to then respond, this is that energy absorption. Dang, how'd it come down to this? With Yumba and Shimoreka now standing side by side to 7-3, Shimoreka then went along to respond, don't absorb the planet's energy. That's on Lord Moro's menu. With 7-3 responding, I know. I am only targeting these 4. And with Moro and Sagambo looking on, 7-3 is only taking the energy of Jocko, Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan and not the planet itself. And with Moro watching, he then went along to question, does this have a time limit as well? With Sagambo responding yes, which is why they gotta end this quick. Right. It does come as a surprise that Earth is home to beings stronger than my guys. As Moro responds, Earth. 10 million years ago, it was a planet of mere monkeys. They've evolved quite a bit since then, so Moro knows of Earth because 10 million years ago, it would appear that Moro had once visited this planet, in which, as he had stated, it was inhabited by nothing but monkeys. But then, on the battlefield, Yumba and Shimoreka are then shown beating up a defenseless and drained Piccolo, Gohan, Jocko, and Krillin all by themselves. So being that 7-3 is using the energy stealing method in taking all of their power away from them, this created an opening for Yumba and Shimoreka to step in, as of course we get to see how they're laughing in the faces of our heroes. Shimoreka then went along to respond, too bad for you, being stronger doesn't always net you the win. And with someone like Yumba having to be shown crushing Gohan down on the ground with his body weight, he's then proceeding in beating Gohan's face in, as Krillin is shown on the ground, so everyone's defenseless. Nobody could do anything, as Yumba is shown pounding on Gohan's face. Shimoreka swoops in kicking Piccolo directly in the chin as Piccolo goes down but quickly stands back up. and with Piccolo standing back up ever so slowly, he then went along to tell Shimoreka, "Don't get too cocky." As Shimoreka is then surprised, Piccolo then continues, "Even if we die today, Goku and Vegeta will make sure you go down." As Shimoreka asks Goku, "Vegeta, who are they?" As 7-3 responds, "The Saiyans who were on Namek." As Shimoreka comments, "Oh, them. Well, what about them?" As Krillin then stands up, he went along to then tell Shimoreka, "Right now, they're training to beat you punks. You won't get away, you know." As Shimoreka asks, "Training, you say? Huh." So this is now beginning to pique their interest, as back on Moro's ship, Sagambo goes on to ask, "Did you hear that, Lord Moro? Goku, Vegeta, so they were the Galactic Patrol members on Namek. If we let them run free, it could come back and bite us. Why not just go on and just eat Earth first? Pull everyone back from this planet, we're taking off." As Moro comments, "Wait, those two are supposedly training." As Sagambo states, "Right? I thought they just turned tail for good back then, but they've still got some fight left in them, so who knew, right?" With Moro then having to devise a new plan, the radio goes on to tell Shimoreka, "Do you hear that, boys?" As Shimoreka responds, "Huh? Oh, sure, okay. Yumba, 7-3, Captain's ordering us to say bye-bye to this rock and get back to the main force." As 7-3 halts his energy absorption, Yumba goes on to ask, "Huh? Why?" As Shimoreka tells him, "We're gonna do this job later, after those Saiyans show up." With 7-3 touching down, he goes on to comment, "Son Goku and Vegeta." And with Yumba dropping Gohan, Shimoreka responds, "Yeah, those two. Boring. You people got off so easy." So these individuals, Shimoreka, Yumba, and 7-3, are ordered to leave the planet for a very specific reason. As Krillin goes on to ask, "But why? What's going on?" Shimoreka goes on to respond, "Lord Moro's gonna come and gobble up those Saiyans himself." As Piccolo asks, "So, the big boss is coming here?" With Shimoreka telling him, "Yep, then you fools and this planet are done for. Better tell your Saiyan pals to get back here, K?" So that's the plan. Moro's plan is to wait for Goku and Vegeta to get to Earth, because Moro not only wants to defeat them and take their energy as well as the planets, but also Piccolo's, Gohan's, Krillin's. So our heroes got off scot-free just because Moro wants to fight everyone all at once and kill them all at once as well. As Shimoreka then continues, "We'll be back in Galactic Cycle 7, so don't even think of running." As Krillin asks, how long does that give us?" As Jocko tells Krillin, "In Earth time, about 20 days. But they'll never make it back by Cycle 7, Shimoreka! You see, this planet's tech is totally primitive, so it's gonna take time. You gotta wait at least Cycle 8. As Shimoreka responds, "That long? For real? Fine. I'll let Moro know now." As Jocko's relieved, thanks to Jocko, now they have more time until Goku and Vegeta finally arrive, as 7-3 switches gears in using the Porcupine's technique in creating a wormhole through dimensions. Shimoreka bids his farewell as Shimoreka, Yumba, and 7-3 now officially leave. So our heroes only have about 20 to maybe 30 to maybe 40 days to complete their training, and being that Vegeta's on planet Yardrat and one of the Yardranians told Vegeta that it's going to take Vegeta about 150 days to master spirit control, this is not looking good. As our heroes stand there, Krillin went along to ask, "We're safe for now, I think. Gohan, you okay?" As Gohan sits up, he went along to tell everyone, "I'm sorry I let them get away." As Krillin responds, "Don't sweat it. We would have really been in trouble without you here. And take it easy. Dende can patch you up right away. Or a sensu bean." As Piccolo then asks Jocko, "So when are they actually returning, Jocko?" As Jocko tells Piccolo, "In 2 months. As Krillin then responds, "You bought us an extra month and then some? Nice going, Jocko." So because of Jocko, he bought an additional month until out of nowhere Jocko continues, "I mean, I can't go dying before that one anime movie comes out next month," basically running a gag there, as out of nowhere, a ship manages to arrive as Bulma appears and having to cry out, "Guys, you're alive!" And with Bulma having to touch down elsewhere with Merus, the narration goes on to state, and so Earth was safe from danger for the time being. However, the countdown began for this grave threat's next visit. As Merus touches back down, he goes on to radio back in, understood. We will travel to Earth in 2 months' time. As the narration continues, news of Moro's impending trip to Earth reached Merus via Galactic Patrol HQ, so now Merus is well aware as he goes back inside the hyperbolic time chamber. And with Goku having to be shown eating, he went along to respond, huh? Moro's pals showed up on Earth? As Merus tells Goku, it seems all is well though. Thank goodness Agent Jocko was there for them. As Goku responds, gotcha, but they said the bad guys are gonna come back? As Merus says yes. 2 months, that's more time than we thought, huh? As Merus continues, it gives us 6 months in here. I feel sorry for the planets that will be sacrificed in the meantime, but assuring Moro's capture when the time comes is our top priority. As Goku then sits up, he then goes on to tell Merus that means my training's gotta pay off or else, well, fine. My belly's full, so let's get back into it. As Merus agrees, we see how Goku's putting on his gi, and as they begin to walk off, Goku then goes on to tell Merus, I just realized, I've never seen you eat. Don't you ever get hungry? As Merus goes on to tell Goku, I can eat or not eat, it's all the same to me, with Goku then having to comment, huh? We said the same thing. And then as Goku's getting in fighting position, he then goes on to continue, so if it's the same to you, then maybe I won't eat either. The food here is kinda meh. And with Goku getting in fighting position with Merus and Goku having to be shown charging at each other, what's most interesting about this is WHIS is watching Merus train with Goku on his little scepter while visiting the Omni King's palace. And only then outside of this, the Grand Priest touches down as the Grand Priest goes on to comment, so very sorry to make you wait. Now, how can I help you, WHIS? As WHIS bows, he goes on to tell the Grand Priest apologies for the sudden request. Grand Priest, I presume that you are aware of the universe is once again in discord. As the Daishinkan responds, it seems that way. Universe 7 is certainly a restless one. As WHIS comments, I am deeply ashamed for it, with the Daishinkan responding, well, what business do you have with me? I don't suppose you intend to ask for your universe to be saved. As WHIS responds, I would never. We angels must remain neutral, siding with neither good or evil. As the Daishinkan responds, just so. Then what would you ask of me? As WHIS then goes on to tell the Grand Priest there is something I wish to confirm concerning our angel laws. As the Grand Priest asks the matter of Merus, I suppose, WHIS then goes on to ask, so, you are aware then, as the manga chapter special comes to a close. Now, there is absolutely no question about it in the fact that Toei Animation, Shueisha, Akira Toriyama, and Toyotaro are planning something huge down the pipeline that not only is going to impact Dragon Ball Super forever beginning with this arc, but based on the way this manga chapter ended, there is something very important about Merus that WHIS has to consult the Grand Priest about. Now, we already know that Merus is not the Grand Priest, and in fact, it would appear that Merus doesn't seem to be the offspring of the Grand Priest either. So this raises many questions in the fact that WHIS wants to change, or at least alter some of the rules applied for the angels in the real world, in thus having to remain neutral, in the fact that WHIS seems to not only know about Merus, but the Grand Priest does as well. And although the Grand Priest is fully aware of what's going on, in the comment section below, I want to know from you guys as to who Merus is, because we are going to be doing a massive follow-up video to this, basically having a dialect as to who Merus is and his importance and impact going forward in this manga. Because could Merus actually be a nobody? Absolutely. Could Merus in fact actually be an angel? It's possible. Could Merus actually be a villain in disguise? It's possible, we just don't know. And the way Toriyama, Shueisha, the way Toyotaro are masking his identity and keeping Merus a mystery, I think really clicks and really works with the overall narrative. But with Moro now having to understand what Earth is and the inhabitants that Earth has, there's no question that Moro is going to be coming to Earth, and given the status that Merus is continuing to train with Goku and reminding him that he has a very short time to master Ultra Instinct, the question is he going to do so? So many questions, so much to look forward to, but again, I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you guys enjoyed this manga chapter and are stoked, ready, hyped, and excited for the upcoming manga chapter on December 20th, Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 55, then be sure to slap this video up with a big thumbs up. If of course you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button guys and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single upload on this channel. To me, this was one of the absolute best chapters within the arc so far for the manga, and being that next month we're going to be coming up on 1 year, the 1 year anniversary for the beginning of the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc, it makes sense to pick things up now in the fact that things are really starting to heat up. The fight with Gohan in 7-3 was really good, and if you're a Gohan fan, you shouldn't be disappointed in the fact that Gohan had his energy taken and beaten, because when you look at the narrative objectively, Gohan was winning, but now it would appear that Moro is going to be taking his power, taking everybody's power, and this is going to be a real problem going forward, but we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. So again, thank you all so much for your time. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. It's my mom's birthday today, so I'm gonna go celebrate. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. Tune back in for the next video, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck, Zarbon? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Freezer.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
But once you get video, lots of likes, or Bill will turn you into chocolate! Vados, get over here! Tell these mortals that I'm the biggest UnrealEntGaming fan. This is my moment. I'm a part of his notification squad. Universe 7 can have all the fun. I just want the food.
And don't forget to leave a comment on this video. Show some love for the best community on YouTube.
Kakarot!